G'day, everybody. Mark here from Tiling Connect. Welcome back to the show. More importantly, welcome back to another episode. 2025 is off to an amazing start, and really excited to have another incredible guest with us today. You know, another rock star guy from the industry, Michael Montgomery from MTM Tiling, all the way from Goulburn down in Canberra. Welcome, Michael.
Hey guys, how you going?
Mate,
Hope
thanks for coming
everyone's
on the
well.
show. Yeah, awesome, mate. Hey, thanks for coming on the show, buddy. Really excited to have you on board. And I know that you reached out to me after I was advertising for people to come on the show and share their
Yeah.
journeys. And mate, I'm glad you're here.
No, I
mate,
appreciate you having me on.
how's the day on the tools been?
Uh, been a long one, like the last couple of days. Been pretty warm down here and pretty humid, so
Yeah,
takes it out of you
right.
by the end of the day.
It would do, mate.
But yeah, no, it's been good.
What's the start time for you in the morning, mate? 6 a.m.
Yeah, generally, well, on the tools we generally start about 7, but during the morning you can be doing anything from paying bills or paying your credit card back or wages, all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow.
Try
Well,
and do
mate,
that before anyone's annoying.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Get the tedious tasks out of the road before
Yeah,
everyone
that's
sort of
right.
starts ringing and the text messages start flowing. And
Yeah, 100%.
yeah, I get it, man. Hey, before we deep dive into stuff, I
Yeah.
want to ask first of all, mate, tell us a little bit about yourself and your tiling journey and how and why you started your tiling business and sort of what's been your most significant experience so far.
Yeah, no worries. Dad was getting a bit of work done at his place when I was about 16, I think. And I used to play up at school a little bit, so they were pretty keen to get rid of me, I think, like probably most other tradies. But
Nice.
yeah, so this guy that I had eventually done an apprenticeship with, he came to our place and was doing a veranda there. And anyway, it was an upstairs house and stuff, and he was carting tiles and things up there, and I could see he was struggling a little bit, so I went and give him a hand. And being from a small town, they he knew other people that my dad knew, and they got in contact with each other, and then eventually got offered an apprenticeship.
Wow.
Yeah,
So it wasn't strategically planned. It was sort of it was
no,
by chance.
always, yeah. I always wanted to be a builder, probably like everyone else, but yeah, tried that
Nice.
path for a little while, and it was pretty quiet around here when sort of I was looking, so there wasn't a whole lot going on. So it was pretty tough at that time. Yeah.
Yeah. So you because you've been in the game, you've been tiling now for about 10 years, is that right?
Oh, probably closer to 20.
Oh, closer to 20. Wow. There you go.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
you
16, 17, I think maybe. Yeah.
awesome. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. So you sort of you've been brought up in the industry, you've come in early and
Yeah, definitely.
it's been a part of your DNA for some time now.
Yeah, it has. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Wow. And you know, since you started, you know, mixing glue and things like that, what's been sort of one of your most significant experiences that you've come across since you've been in the game?
Um, Significant. Probably the transition from working for someone else to business, I suppose, was probably one of the most significant,
Yeah, right.
I think. Yeah, I was about 21, 22 when I started in business. The guy who I'd done my apprenticeship with, he sort of transitioned from tiling to real estate. And yeah, I sort of either had the opportunity to carry on what he was doing with a few of his clients and all that sort of stuff, or go and find someone else to work for.
Mm,
So
that's pretty
yeah, ended
cool.
up going down the other path.
Nice. And
Yeah.
Was that a reasonably steep learning curve for you, going from being an employee to
Oh,
being the employer?
yeah, definitely. I was lucky in a little bit of a way that he transitioned sort of over maybe 12 months. So I was probably by myself for 3 or 4 days a week, and then he'd come and then sort of flow on like that.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, it was definitely a big learning curve. I was only about 21 or 22 at the time, I think. So probably wasn't quite ready for all the challenges that having a business provides.
Yeah. Good. I tell you what, though, good age to learn, right? I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
any age is a good age to learn, but to be able to do
Yeah.
that at 20 and 21 and look back on that today at the tender age of 30 something, I certainly won't reveal that to the audience. but,
Let
to
him
be able
guess.
to, yes,
Be
it's a
kind.
guess. That's right, guessing game. We'll play that at the end.
Yeah.
but to look back on that now and go, wow, what an experience in life to be able to go at that age. I learned so much that I've been able to
Yeah.
apply it at this part of my life.
Yeah. It was definitely eye-opening. A lot of challenges along the way, but you learn off other people's mistakes and your own mistakes and all that sort of thing. And yeah, you're always learning all the time.
Yeah, yeah, very cool. Well, mate,
Yeah.
tell me about, when we talk about business, and you've been doing it for some time now, and certainly independently as a sole trader for some time in your own world.
Yep.
What sort of sets your business apart from competitors in the tiling industry, and sort of how do you ensure consistency in quality for your clients?
Yeah. So um, I think what sets us apart is I'm generally on site, always trying to direct the boys and trying to provide leadership to them. Um, and I think the way that I manage clients and things like that as well, I find a lot of people lie and say they're coming and they don't turn up and all those sorts of things, and they continually probably let themselves down. They're good at
Mm,
tiling or good at building or good at doing whatever they do with their hands, but they lack the organization side of things and communicating with clients and all that sort of stuff, and probably providing a professional experience to the client.
mm.
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying there. It's a fairly common denominator when so there's a couple of things that I'm picking up on, but certainly leadership, of course, having a crew, and I didn't ask how big is your team, mate?
I've only got two at the moment. I've had four, probably is my largest, and they were
Mm,
three other tradies at the time. But yeah, I've got two tradies now and myself. So it's a
nice.
good number actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, look, reversing back on what I was saying before, so that's a good sized team, right?
Yeah, it
And
is.
what when we look at things like professionalism and leadership, so leadership is great that you're able to be there to I suppose share your experience on the tools with the team that you've got,
Yeah. Yeah,
and
100%.
but the common denominator definitely in the marketplace is that, whenever you talk to clients or builders or developers or anybody in the game, their number one, it would have to be their number one gripe is that, people don't, contractors don't return phone calls. They don't show up when they
Yeah.
say they're going to show up.
Yeah.
And the list goes on. Now, that's not, it's not a one size fits all scenario,
No,
but,
definitely not.
certainly because we're touching on it, whenever you talk to people, they go, "That's my biggest frustration." Is that you know,
It is.
contractor X said he'll be here on Monday at 8 o'clock, and he's not here. And then when you call him seven times, he doesn't answer his phone,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
it happens so often, and just it's mate. Surely you've yeah. So I'm glad that that's something that you look at and stand behind in terms of the quality that you provide, because it's so important,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, it's the most important thing. My brother's a builder, so I get a bit of the background of what they actually do. So, say for us to tell him, for instance, we're coming on Monday, he might have other trades booked in around that or whatever. But
Mm.
if we don't turn up on that day or finish when we say we will, and we don't tell anyone, you just don't turn up, it's a lot of work for them and it puts a lot of other people out as well.
Yeah.
So
And the
try to
cost
be,
and the cost associated with that delay.
oh, yeah, it can be huge.
Mm.
Exactly.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, cool, man. Well, look,
Yeah.
let's touch on some more of your business stuff as well. I mean, there's obviously so many different paradigms to running a business, from
Yeah.
training and leading your team to organising
Yeah.
quotes, being on the tools when you need to be on the tools. So, in managing expectations is one of them, but a really important pillar, I think, with all businesses is marketing and growth
Yeah.
and how people go about that. And one of the biggest pieces of feedback that we've received on this program from our listeners has been, I love hearing from other tiling contractors about how they do particular things in their business, because I
Yeah.
pick up these little gems that they leave behind, and I give it a crack in my business and see whether it does or does not
Yeah.
work. So look, obviously you've been in the game for a while, mate. Give us a bit of a look in what marketing strategies have worked best for you, or what platforms do you use, and sort of how do you attract new clients when you need to?
Yeah. So probably like a lot of other people, I've probably lacked in this area slightly. So I don't have a lot of hidden gems. However, where we're from, there's probably 20 or 30,000 people in the place. So I think leaving customers that you get the job with, leaving them satisfied is a huge thing. Like word of mouth where we are is much bigger than social media and all that sort of thing.
Mm,
But you definitely do get jobs where we are from social media. So I do have a presence on there, but it's probably not quite as big as I would like it to be. But it's a
yeah.
work in progress too. Yeah.
Yeah, no. And look, I think so, in picking up on that, like Goulburn is a beautiful place. I was there last year actually. I drove through there in
Yeah.
winter,
Yeah.
and
You probably got
I
frostbite.
very much, absolutely 100% would have happened.
Yeah.
I was at one of the locals watching a football game. I was there for work and seeing
Yeah.
customers, and I had chosen to stay at Goulburn for the night, and
Yeah.
it was freezing. I got up the next morning, it was like, I don't know, 2-3 degrees.
Yeah,
Um,
it's gets a lot worse than that too.
oh yes, look,
But
I like it for the fact that you can go somewhere and have a nice meal, and there's a fire on, and
yeah,
it's such a
it is
beautiful ambiance. We
it
don't
is
get in
nice, yeah.
Queensland.
No, no one would want the fire on up there.
Yeah, mate. Winter we don't need to. I think the minimum temperature is like 15.
Yeah,
Um,
that's our maximum in winter, I think.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, look, social media is important. However, I'm familiar with the fact that a lot of small town places do have that word of mouth reputation, particularly if you've been in the
Yeah.
game for a while. Did you find it difficult in the beginning, when you first started out, to build the business, or was word of mouth pretty much a pattern that you had throughout from day one?
Well, when I first started, I was fairly lucky. I walked into probably 2 or 3 good local builders that, were giving constant work.
Yeah,
But over time, those guys have a lot of those guys, I've still got a couple of them, but a lot of those guys have moved on to other jobs or they're retired now or all that sort of thing. But where we are, I've never really struggled too much for work. We've been pretty lucky like that. If it's not from recommendation of existing clients or things like that, it's from tile shops that know that them giving your number out or your name or whatever is going to lead to a satisfied customer as well.
Yeah,
So I've
nice.
been pretty lucky with all that.
Mm.
Yeah,
So yeah, look, and mate, I appreciate that because I grew up in tiles back in the early 2000s, and some of the
yeah,
first jobs that I held were in retail, where I actually worked in tile shops.
yeah,
There was a business around a long time ago called the Ceramic Tile Market, and
yeah,
which was renowned as CTM, and there was 11 stores in the
yeah,
industry, and I worked up in Brisbane, and
yeah,
I had some of my best mates were tiling contractors because
yeah,
they come into the store and they were buying, tools and accessories and glues and grouts and waterproofing and all
yeah,
that sort of stuff, and we would feed them work. And
yeah,
the three or four guys that I was mates with, they would get probably 2 to 3 jobs a week, just purely through the leads that I gave them. But
yeah,
I was very how do we put it politely? I was very stern about
yeah,
making sure that they call the clients, because at the end of that recommendation to them was a sort of a $5, $6, $7,000 tiling order that
yeah, yeah. That's right.
we'd banked on by hey, look, we're going to
Yeah,
put you in touch with 2 or 3 of our top performing tiling contractors. So it
yeah,
was it had to work, and so that's
yeah,
obviously still something that works for you up there, hey, down there I should say.
yeah, yeah. Definitely. I've got a pretty good rapport with most of the tile shops in town, so yeah, it does. It goes both ways. They recommend you, you recommend them.
Yeah.
Um, Keep it local,
Yeah.
and yeah, it works. It
Yeah,
works
nice. Nice.
for sure. So
Well,
anyone starting out, I'd definitely recommend to try to get into the tile shops ears and
yeah.
see how you go there.
Mate, and look, I'm curious. This is an off the cuff question.
Yeah.
Are business cards still a big thing today? Like physical business cards?
Um, they, I don't know if they're big, but definitely when you go into tile shops or other places of business and you've left cards there before, a lot of the time they need new ones. So people must be taking them still.
Yeah, I thought
Yeah.
as
So
much.
yeah,
Because I know there's a lot of uh, technological advances in digital business cards, and
yeah,
I'm still on the fence about it. I have one for what I do during the day, and
yep,
I haven't had to pull it out very often to use it when I'm at events to get people to scan the QR code to grab all my
yeah,
details, because
yep,
you've got so many different platforms today, from Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook,
yeah,
Messenger, WhatsApp. It's so more convenient to get a hold of people. You
yeah.
really don't need a bit. Well, I find in my line of work, you don't really need a business card that frequently, because
No,
you can just jump on LinkedIn and message someone and go, "Hey, can we have that meeting next week?" And then it's just
yeah,
done.
exactly. Yeah,
So,
all that landscape that's changed a fair bit since I first started. I remember that was probably one of the first things I did going out on my own was set the business name up and waltz off to get the new business cards. It was pretty exciting.
oh yeah, absolutely. That's like
Yeah.
that's an Instagram worthy post, mate. Just
Oh, it
walk.
is.
That's a real walking into the shop to pick up your new business cards with a brand new logo, bit of music. You could be
Yeah.
doing you could do a whole bunch of stuff. My mind runs wild with ideas.
Yeah, oh, it would. But yeah, no, it's everything's changed a lot in that regard, hasn't it?
It has, yeah, absolutely, and
Yeah.
it's look. I think in our industry, I think in this industry and the industry that we work in, we're still very much in that. We've got a mix of contractors and builders that cross over. So we've got a lot of, 45, 55, 60-year olds
Yeah.
that didn't really grow up a lot with social media when they were younger, and
No.
still on the tools, still building homes. And that's what we need. We need,
Yeah.
quality trades doing that. And then we've got, a whole bunch of younger generation
Yeah.
contractors and builders coming into the industry that are very, they gravitate towards that social media paradigm where it's
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah,
big
that's
part of their
right.
business. And the good thing
Yeah.
about it is, with a lot of these platforms, they're free. Like, you don't have to
Yeah, they
pay
are.
anything.
Yeah.
Like,
No.
you just need someone that's handy with marketing and putting things together, but even the
Yeah,
platforms that you use to create stuff, unless you go into premium, you are using a lot of these platforms for free. So there's no excuses not to do it. It's just
no,
like
there's
it's
not.
there. It's time is
It's
the only thing people have to
that's
manage.
that's right, exactly. And if you want to do it, you will.
Yeah. If it's important and it
Pretty
matters,
much.
right?
That's right, exactly.
So, mate, you mentioned before about your business name,
Yep.
MTM Tiling. Is there a story behind the name?
Not really. It's pretty boring. Michael Thomas Montgomery Tiling.
Oh, that's all
Probably
right.
probably thank the accountant for that one.
Nice. Shout out
Yeah,
to the accountant.
yeah. Need a good accountant.
Oh, 100%, mate. It's critically important in any business, right?
It is, yeah.
Funnily enough, they're not the easiest thing to find. So,
No, they're not. You go through a few trying to find the right one, that's for sure.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
But anyway, yeah,
Well, mate, let's talk about craftsmanship and
yeah,
innovation because they're
hmm,
definitely two of the big things that I love to touch on and get a bit more of an idea about with contractors and their
yep,
business and where they're at. But I mean, you mentioned before about tiling, tile shops or tile retail stores there.
yep.
So you obviously get a little bit of insight into what's happening. What sort of trends or innovations in tiling do you see sort of shaping the industry? And I think more importantly, from what you're doing, how do you try and stay ahead of the curve with how your business operates?
Well, yeah. I think probably larger format tiles is where I think tiling will head.
Mm,
I've seen videos of people doing 2400 tiles, like floor to ceiling one tile, and we're lucky enough we haven't had to do that yet. um,
absolutely.
Probably not something I really want to do, but yeah, you never know. Probably said that about 600s and even
Yeah,
larger tiles when they all come in that we didn't want to do that. But if you want to stay in the game, you gotta do what's in front of
yeah,
you. As for staying ahead of the curve, uh, I think talking to the tile shops and that and seeing what they're ordering in and what other tilers are doing as well. Um, all that stuff helps a lot too. Talking to the reps of the glue manufacturer that you predominantly use or all that sort of thing and finding out what new stuff they have coming out or attending trade nights and things like that
yeah.
help to stay ahead of things a bit as well and work out new methods or updated methods of how everyone else or how what's expected of how you do things too.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, there's some really important topics there that you've raised with that, and I'll touch on a couple. Definitely, keeping in touch with the representatives of the companies, whether they be the
Yeah.
adhesive manufacturers, or even the tile
Yep.
wholesale manufacturers as well, or importers, I should say. They're
Yeah.
obviously
Yep.
there's a lot of good people out there.
There
Um,
is.
what sort of value do you put on having strong relationships with those representatives?
Oh, it's you can't put a price on it really. Um, the knowledge and that they have from other people's failures or other things like that that you can avoid if you're friendly towards them or you've got a good rapport with them, it's invaluable, and you can
Mm.
ring them up whenever you want to get advice, and yeah, like it's definitely invaluable.
Have you ever found yourself in a situation in your career where you've had to get them on site to have a look at something? Has there been a wild project that just
Um,
didn't quite go right?
no, we've been reasonably lucky with that. There's been a lot of to and fro on how to do things, and some of them are very vague. They don't generally like giving e- like direct advice sort of thing, just in case something does happen.
Yeah.
They don't really want to cop that, but um, no, we've been pretty lucky. We haven't really had any failures or anything like that, so we've been lucky like that. Yeah, no, we've been very lucky actually.
Yeah. Well, look, touch wood for a second, right?
Yeah, touch wood, yeah,
We'll
for sure.
we'll turn luck into fortune because you don't have a successful contracting business for as long as what you have without doing the right things. I think that
No,
if you are cutting corners, using the wrong size notch trowel, not applying the adhesive correctly, not using the right products that are
yeah,
recommended, those sorts of things all add up
yeah,
to the wrong recipe, and
they do.
essentially things can sometimes things can just go wrong.
That's right.
But look, if you're attempting to do all of the right things and follow the best guidelines, there's no reason why it
Yeah,
shouldn't work.
no, that's right. And yeah, I do think using the bigger guys too can help a little bit. Sometimes some of these little guys seem to come in overnight and they've got a cheaper product or whatever, and then I've heard of other people things not going so well for them, and they get all these promises and assurances, and then they're nowhere to be found
Oh
when they
yeah,
need help.
I have seen that often in my career.
Yeah.
I worked for two adhesive companies throughout my
Yep.
21 years in building products, and I have
Yep.
to say that cheap doesn't necessarily mean better. It just
No,
means cheap.
that's
Now,
right.
cheap is suitable for certain applications. There's unequivocally, undoubtedly, no reason why there wouldn't be a reason for that. But if
No, no.
you're if you associate cheap with putting down a 600 by 1200 tile on a complicated
Yeah.
substrate,
Yep.
well,
Yeah.
you're probably going to be asking yourself some questions about, is that
Yes.
really going to work?
It's not, and if even if everything goes well, you'll probably lose sleep worrying about if something does go wrong. So
Oh, absolutely. I can imagine, and I can only imagine that you would have you had nights like that because you
oh,
go
for
and do a
sure.
tiling job like circa, let's say, 80, 100 square meter job, and
Yep.
something is troubling you for whatever the reason might be. That job to replace the tiles that have been put down, I'm just going to pluck a number, but I'm thinking that you've charged price X. It potentially, if something goes not right, to replace the job, it could cost you circa $20,000 plus. I mean, that's
Oh
you know
yeah.
that's what I would probably categorize as a nightmare and not sleeping for a while.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. If you done a main floor, the 100 square meter main floor, say the clients supplied the tiles, you supplied adhesive and grout and primer and all that sort of stuff. Well, now it fails. You're also up for taking the old tiles up. You're up for new tiles. You're up for the adhesive, the labor, disposing of the old tiles. Like the list goes on.
Yeah.
Plus the time that you're not on another job too.
Yeah, so it's a double whammy, right? So you
It is, yeah,
literally, you multiply the multiplier of two, and then you find yourself in a whole world of hurt for the next 12 months. So
yeah. Ugh,
yeah,
do
let's
it right the first time.
yes, love it. But let's get off that topic because we don't want to focus too much on
No,
that. Not that it's a good conversation to have, and I'm glad that people, Michael, I really am glad that people are aware of it because it's
yeah,
it's a pretty common thing that I think a lot of sole traders, business owners think about, and certainly going back to that point about cheap doesn't necessarily always mean better. It certainly
no,
has a place in the market for particular things. But I think when you are constructing something, I think you need to make sure that the products that you're choosing are fit for purpose and make sure that
yeah,
they marry up with the job that you're doing. And if you have an inkling that it's not right, don't hesitate to pick up the phone and call the company that manufactures the product to see whether or not it's the right fit, because
yeah.
that phone call could save you a lot of grief down the track, right?
Oh, definitely. It could be the difference between getting paid or coming back to fix everything at your own cost.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, exactly. Well, mate,
Yeah.
I talking about sorry, I got off on a little bit of a tangent then.
That's all right.
Talking about processes for ensuring high quality on jobs. I know we've touched on it a little bit. Do you have any particular tricks or tips that you implement with the boys to make sure that the quality that you're delivering matches the expectations of the client?
Um, I think just communicating with them exactly what you want and what the client wants is the biggest thing, and
Yeah.
making sure that they understand what you want and what the client wants and what's expected of them, and not really leaving anything for guesswork sort of thing. Um, yeah, if the client's not getting what they want, then yeah, it's just not good enough.
Mm. And
So
how sorry, you go.
sorry, no, you go.
I was just going to say, and how do you like from your experience and how you
Yep.
guys apply your practice every day? How do you go about setting those expectations? Do you have like a particular type of document that you use, or is it communication via email? Is it verbal? Like what have you found as the best method for ensuring that matches up from the start to the end of the project?
Yeah, so I think generally trying to get the client on site, explain what your vision is, or understand what their vision is of what they want to achieve, and go from there. And then you can relay that information to your crew or whatever, and then everyone's happy, everyone's on the same page.
Mm,
I find if the client gets shocked or those sorts of things, the relationship can sour pretty quickly, and then it just makes life hard on everyone.
yeah. Yeah, I understand. It's look, it. I remember again, just going back to the days when I sold tiles. One of the things that we needed to manage was the relationship between the tiles that we sold the
Yeah,
client in the showroom,
yeah,
how we had put that together from a design aspect, then having to
yeah,
deliver that message to the contractor to make sure that what happened on site was as
yeah.
discussed in the showroom. It's a little bit like Chinese whispers, right? However,
Oh, it is, yeah.
we needed to make sure it wasn't Chinese whispers, and that you
No,
know the tiles went up a particular way with a certain size grout joint, and then
yeah,
if the client
yeah,
wanted grout joints flowing from floor to wall, and
yeah,
it was all that sort of communication, and to your point, how important it is to ensure that that is crystal clear from start to finish, and throughout the
yeah,
process as well.
yeah. I think if they generally if they don't get any surprises, then you walk through reasons as to why you want to do something a certain way, or what you think will look better, or whatever.
Mm,
I think like it builds a good trust between client and tradesman as well, to go that way, rather than just thinking, oh, I know best or whatever, and just getting into the job to try to get it finished.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
nice, nice. One of the most interesting topics that I like to touch on when speaking with contractors
Yep.
is a little bit about some of the challenges that they've faced and in problem solving and how they go about these sorts of things. And um, the I suppose in your experience and the time that you've been on the tools and running your
Yep.
business, has there been a significant challenge that you've faced? And if there has been, how did you overcome it? Like, how did you jump over the fence to resolve the issue?
Um, I think a lot of it is a lot of challenges come from probably people not doing good quality work prior to you coming, which
Yeah,
then affects the quality of your work. There's only if you're not given something that's free of defects and as flat and plumb and level and square for our trade and all that sort of thing, at times there's only so much that you can do with what you're given. So I
Mm,
think people taking care and pride in their work prior to what we do, even though it's getting tiled over or all those sorts of excuses, as long as they do a good job and use the correct materials and install them correctly and all that sort of thing, it makes our job a lot easier.
mm,
But like you said, some of the younger guys coming through and even older people, it could be anyone really, and not having a good product knowledge of what they're doing and installing things in the incorrect way or using stuff in the incorrect area or whatever the problem might be, that's probably a big challenge for what we do, I think.
mm. Is there, and look, I'm not asking you to generalize, be specific here. This is obviously,
Yep.
I'll caution this part of the conversation as it's a general conversation because, running some social media businesses as I do, or some social
Yep.
media content creation, I see a lot of stuff online, and obviously the algorithms feed me a lot of construction based stuff. So
Yeah.
I
Yep.
see all the time, a lot of complaints about, when contractors go into, or when tilers will go into a job, they'll go and have a look. Someone will be videoing, the waterproofing that's been done, and
Yeah.
the abhorrent nature in which it's been put down, and then there'll be other videos that'll pop up about the builder putting in a particular type of plasterboard a particular way, or the FC sheeting, and
Yeah.
there'll be 100 mil gaps around the wastes.
Yep.
Sorry, about around the tap outlets, and it's like,
Yeah.
and with a caption, "She'll be right, just tile over it." And it's like
Ready to go.
ready to go. So,
Yeah.
but clearly, that must be some of the challenges that you've seen in your career, is that, you get onto a job, as you're
Yeah.
saying, and it's just not ready to tile. So what
No.
so what do you do? I mean, how do you solve that when you've had to face that? Like, what does the conversation look like with the third party, whether it's a builder or a contractor that you need to
Yeah.
have a chat to?
Well, you try not to upset the apple cart too much, but if you've explained something once and it happens again,
Mm,
yeah, you've just got to stand your ground. There's no point going and doing the job and then it fails and then everyone tries to pin that back onto you when it's you could have said, no, I'm not doing this or whatever. And then all of a sudden everything's in your lap and you've got to deal with it. So I think over time you do learn to say no a bit more, which
mm,
is pretty important in our trade. There's a lot of liability on us, especially when you are doing the waterproofing and all that sort of thing as well.
yeah.
So if you're not happy with something, you have to say no. I need it done this way, or I need that fixed, or
Mm.
or whatever.
It's a good philosophy to adapt, and I think
Yeah,
today even more than ever before, now that you've got 100 cameras pointing in every which direction on, in the way things are exposed today, I think it's a
yeah,
blessing. It's a blessing in a lot of cases in the industry, I think, but most certainly that's not the simple answer to anything, because it's a very complex and dynamic environment in construction, and there's
it is.
so many moving parts. So
Yeah,
again, I preface that comment with that,
yeah,
is that, there's a lot of moving parts. So, and
there is.
relationships, and not, yeah, as you said before, not upsetting the apple cart. However, you need to set a standard that is
That's
acceptable
right.
by the right standards, and then your standards, whatever,
And
whatever that
yeah,
dynamic might be.
and a lot of times if you let people get away with it once, it just continually happens, and then it becomes normal. So
Yeah,
you're better off pulling it up early and trying to work to a solution that works for everyone.
yeah, nice, nice.
Yeah.
Mate, I mentioned, I forget, I actually meant to ask before, what, with the work
Yeah.
that you do, are
Yeah.
you working a lot in with designers and architects locally, or is it more just with the tile stores and what they're putting together for clients?
A lot of it around here, a lot of it is probably 90% of it is, yeah, generally tile shops or people coming in with Pinterest ideas or even asking us when we
Oh,
go for a
nice.
quote, like, this is my idea, and they show you a picture. Do you think that suits our house? Or
Yeah.
what's your thoughts on that and all that sort of thing? Or even off shows like the block get mentioned a lot. Um, where we don't unless it's a commercial job, generally architects and the designers don't they're not really prominent around here, so
Okay.
we don't
Yeah,
really
that's cool.
have a whole lot to do with them. Yeah.
That's a pretty good. I suppose in a few ways it's good not to have that dynamic mix because it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, well, it adds
It's not complicated.
it adds another thought to the bucket
Oh, it
when
does.
they're in
And then
there and
all of a sudden you've got a little mini football team trying to work out how the tiles are going to get laid, and you're like, oh, I don't know about this.
no, just let me do my job.
Yeah,
Yeah.
love it. Awesome, mate. Um,
Yeah.
Tell me, in your career, have you ever had a demanding client? Anybody that's been a pain in the ass that you've had to, pull into line
Um,
and sort them out?
yeah, I've had a few, but probably probably one that comes to mind. She Yeah, she was a bit of a nuisance, but we ended up getting along in the end. It was pretty funny actually. She come in one day, so we're there on a Saturday working, and she come in and pulled me aside and was just going over everything and all that sort of thing. And all the work we'd done was fine. It was all to code. Everything was as she initially wanted, but obviously things were going through. She wanted to change things or whatever. But in the end, I eventually said to her that I could see that she wasn't happy with the work that we were producing. I said it's
Mm,
all above Australian standards. It's initially how we discussed, um, but I can see that you're not happy with it, and so I'm more than happy to send an invoice for the work that we've completed up to this point, and we both part ways. Anyway, once I said that, she changed her tune a fair bit, and she basically said she was happy with the work, but just wanted a couple little things changed, which were fine, and we done that, and we eventually got along.
wow,
Yeah, it
that's
was
pretty. That's
pretty
pretty cool.
funny.
Yeah, it's sort of
Yeah, no, she,
one of those agree to disagree moments, and then you've gone, yeah, nah,
yeah,
I'll just, yeah,
yeah. Well, I don't know. Sometimes they're spending a lot of money with you. Sometimes you've just got to just get it done and try and move on to the next one, don't you?
yeah, yeah, absolutely, yeah. And look, sometimes saying no is a perfect solution to a problem that can't be won, and
No.
obviously in this case, it's worked perfectly. I think in today's landscape, considering the shortage of
Yeah.
trades and quality trades, people
Yeah.
can't people need to focus more on communicating more effectively with client contractor perspective, probably not so much. Look, it's probably 50-50, but certainly I've seen many
Yeah.
examples where clients expectations are level 20,
Yeah.
and trying to meet that level is sort of, it's like utopia. It's like, how do we get there?
Yeah, that's
um,
right.
so it's, trying to massage that, conversation so that they're happy with what they've got, understanding the
Yeah.
parameters within you can work to achieve it.
Yeah. I went to quote a little job last year, and they had exposed pipes hanging out of walls and render that was cracking and cracks in floors, and there was so much work there that needed to be done to even get it close to where it could be tiled. And they had an old fella there who was a friend, and he was doing bits and pieces whenever he felt like it, I think, and all that sort of setup. And I went through and said, like, look, there's a crack there, there's this wrongs here. that's got to be moved. You can't tile over that and paint everywhere and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, every time brought something up to him like that, he was obviously trying to save him a bit of money, which is fair enough. But every time I brought it up, he would say, "Oh no, yeah, you can do that. You can tile over that. That shouldn't be an issue," and all that sort of thing. So anyway, I heard him out, got in the car, and never come back. But
Wow.
yeah, he was something else.
Yeah.
Every time anything was brought up, he knew better. So
Wow. There's plenty of
not
those
sure
out there
what
in the
happened
world,
with
mate.
that one. Yeah, it was funny. It was a head scratcher.
Mate, one of the big questions that comes back from our community quite frequently, because we
Yep,
clearly have a lot of tiling contractors that tune into the show and are very
yep,
keen to hear from others in the industry. One of the questions that comes up often is about profitability,
yep.
running a business and ensuring that the appropriate amount of profitability is being achieved on every job, in
Hmm.
particular with competition and square meter rates and all of that sort of thing, because
Yep.
obviously that still exists. That will never go away. You're always going to be up against
No.
somebody else.
Yeah.
Um, and I think sometimes people get, I'm sure for all the right reasons, they get fixated on square meter rates and trying to
Yeah.
work out what to charge.
Yeah.
How do you go about ensuring you're achieving the right profitability in your rates and your quotes so that your business
Yeah.
is flourishing well in the marketplace?
Well, I think being on site definitely helps because I can see what we can get done in a day or in a week or whatever the time frame might be. Um, I know what our capabilities are as a team and what we can sort of get through.
Mm,
So having a square meter rate is fine, but you've also got to say you're sending a quote out and you go, right, there's X amount of meters, and this is what I charge per meter and materials and all the other things. If you're going to do an intricate little job, like you just can't really charge square meter rate. Like you've probably got to come up with more of a figure for the time that you've spent there.
yeah.
Um, but then on larger scale jobs, like square meter should generally work out, but it definitely takes time to get better at the quoting process and knowing what materials you use and keeping a list of all that stuff so that you can improve on it basically and keeping a document of all your quotes and that you send out so that you can improve on them.
Mm. Do you do like an annual review on your business in terms of the prices that you're paying year on year for equipment and consumables and things like that, and your rates? Like, do you look at that every 12 months and go, yeah, maybe this year we need to shift, um, you know, X, and they need to be this per
Yeah,
year? Or,
we do to a certain degree. I wouldn't probably sit down and go through everything, but at the end of the year or close to the end of the financial year, when you sit down with the accountant and you just go through what your profit or loss or whatever that section might be, you can soon determine, especially from being on site a lot, where any shortcomings, if there are any, where they might be. Yeah.
what's Give me an example. Like, what could possibly be one of those shortcomings on a job site that might affect how profitable a job might be?
Um, Maybe spending more time with the client that you sort of didn't allow for, or if there's a bow in a wall, or you might have done a, a screed that takes more work to tile over, like things like that that you're probably not allowing for
Mm.
that take more time basically. or
Is it
preparation of things.
yeah. Yeah, is it easy to um, put a number against that when you're quoting? Like, because it's one of those unknowns, right? You don't know until
No,
you
you
get there.
don't. No, it's not easy. And sometimes, look, not every jobs that you're ever going to do will be profitable.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. It just doesn't always work out like that.
Mm.
Um, I've always found that no matter what you think it is going to take, it always takes a little bit longer. It's very rare that you charged for 4 days and you're only there for two. It's usually the opposite.
Opposite, yeah.
Yeah. But as long as over time, in the space of say 3 months or 6 months or whatever, as long as you can be profitable over that time, you don't have to worry about those small little losses that you might take in a day or in a week
Mm.
or whatever at times. You just got to focus on the longer picture.
Yeah. Mate, I love that.
Yeah.
I've been in building products sales
Yeah.
and leadership roles for a long time. And while, I think every organization definitely looks at, what the monthly sales targets might be for a business,
Yeah.
everything's annualized and everything's then
Yeah.
broken down into quarters. So you start with your annual number, then you break it down into quarters, and then from your quarters, you'll break it down in your monthly. And then,
Yeah.
some businesses will go weekly, daily, and that's good
Yeah.
because it bites it off into a smaller chunk
Yeah.
to hit the overall number. Yet,
Yeah.
not every month is going to be the same as the year before, and there's always
No,
challenges,
no,
and there's always people pinching market share, or there's
that's
external
right.
factors that are happening around the world that might impact where you
Yeah.
end up. So I get that, and I understand
Yeah.
that. If you look at it from whether you look at it from a quarter or a half yearly or financial year perspective, and you know and look at the numbers more holistically,
Yeah.
the small the losses are probably just a little bit more palatable.
They are. You don't want lost day after day or anything like that,
No,
but
God no.
yeah, if you can focus on a month or something like that, if you can focus on that at a time,
Yeah.
it's makes it a bit easier to swallow sometimes.
Yes. Yeah. It makes the beer a bit sweeter on Friday afternoon at
It
the
does.
local.
Yeah.
Gold. Gold. Well, mate, tell me, look, a couple of questions to wrap up today. And look, I've really appreciated you being on the show. It's been awesome.
I
Um,
appreciate you having me.
Mate, you're very welcome. Look, tell me, you've obviously got a couple of team members. You obviously
Yep.
you've got family, and I'm sure you've got a partner as well. And
Yeah.
like, how do you go about maintaining a balanced life for you and your team, and how do you do it? Like, how do you fit work and life in together? How does that work for you?
Um, yeah, it can be tough at times, and yeah, when you sign up to owning a business, you definitely sign up to missing a few things here and there, as you probably know.
Yeah,
But I don't know, you make things work somehow. I don't even know how that works, but you make things work. You do need to have supportive people around you, like your missus and that. If she's not so supportive of working the odd weekend here or there, or working later at night, it definitely makes things a bit difficult.
yeah,
Um, yeah, you just hope that you can have that support there, and you try to separate it all as much as you can, but sometimes it overlaps a bit. But yeah,
mm.
as for the boys, the workers and things like that, the employees, we usually go to lunch on a Friday afternoon, or for
Oh,
lunch on
nice.
Friday. Yeah.
Yep.
So one of us will pick somewhere to go, and we try to stick by that. No matter how busy you are, you go and enjoy that time with each other, and a lot of times that extends to other trades and that you're working with as well.
Yeah.
So we'll go and have a counter lunch or a lunch at a cafe, or or whatever, and you build a good relationship with those guys doing that stuff as well.
Yeah,
So
nice.
yeah,
Yeah, that's a pretty cool. That's a pretty cool weekly exercise, man. Actually, I like it. Going and
yeah,
just taking time out of your day for a couple of hours, and
yeah,
get other people involved, and particularly, obviously, especially your team, and if there's other
yeah,
trades around that are
100%.
keen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, it's
Where's
good.
the is there like is there a particular favourite place that everyone goes to in Goulburn?
Uh, we try to mix it up a little bit, but yeah, a lot of the time we end up at one of the local pubs called the Highway. They've got pretty good steak or snitty or and a
Oh,
couple of
nice.
beers there too.
Have they got like a really big open? I think I've been there. I think that's maybe where I stayed. Is it on a corner?
It's very close to the corner. There's another one down the other end called the Astor. It's on the corner near
No,
traffic lights.
The Astor's where I've stayed. Yeah,
Yeah, we go there
yeah,
occasionally too, or the one across the road. They're owned by the same people, but yeah, we go there sometimes too. They're pretty good as well.
yeah. I was there last year. It was pretty cool. It was pretty
Yeah,
comfortable to stay in the motel as well.
yeah, it's easy. Goulburn's
Yeah,
easy to get around, so we're pretty lucky with all that too.
yeah, yeah. Nice,
But yeah,
nice.
that's what we do once a week, and it's a good little refresher. And if you've had a bit of a crappy week with each other, having a beer usually smooths it over.
Yep, flush it out of your system.
Yeah.
Love it. That's great. Well, mate, obviously we're, the crack of dawn in 2025. We've all just sort of
Yep.
come back, and I think the industry was a bit asleep. I think today was the first day in Brisbane that I saw the roads were jammed with traffic. I mean, I know the kids have
Yeah.
just gone back to school, but up
Yep.
until the 26th of January, it was literally like a ghost town.
Yeah.
I'd be calling clients and they'd be like, "Yep, half the office is still not coming back until the 20th of January." I'm like, "What? Like,
Lucky
what are these?
buggers.
Are these people like millionaires or something that are just
Yeah.
doing the job as a hobby?" Like, no. So, have you got, what sort of vision have you got for the year ahead with your business, and sort of, is there much happening in 2025, or even in future? Have you got a
Yeah.
3 or a 5 year plan for what's going to happen in your world?
Yeah, we're fairly busy coming up. We've got a couple of fairly big houses that are one we've just started today actually. Um, and we've got another couple after that. So yeah, we're probably booked out for I don't know, 3 to 4 months at the moment, I'd say, roughly.
Yeah, wow.
But yeah, we've got a busy 2025 come, especially the first half anyway.
Mm.
Um, yeah, so that's something to look forward to. But yeah, as for the future, um, maybe an apprentice or two would probably be something that we need to start looking at shortly. But other than that, we'll just keep kicking along, I think. Yeah,
Yeah, nice. Awesome, mate. No, that's
yeah.
good. It's good. You're running your business. You're clearly successful. And any overseas holidays booked? Anything exciting to take your mind off work, or to get excited about for all the work that you're doing?
Yeah, so we're going to Singapore in on the 23rd of March
Oh, nice.
for a week. So
Awesome.
that'll be pretty cool. Haven't been there yet, so yeah, that'll be pretty cool.
Fantastic. Yeah, I haven't been there.
Yeah.
I've been there for at airport only stopover, but never actually
Apparently
ventured
the
out into
airport's
Singapore.
one of the best places there.
Well, there you go.
I don't know if
I've
that's
done
true or not, but
I've done my Singapore. It's big. I know that for
yeah,
a fact. So I think it's got
yeah.
one of the biggest. It's got one of the biggest M&M shops, I think, or M&Ms or something. But
Oh
yeah,
wow.
um,
I have to have a look.
yeah, check it out.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome, Michael. Yeah, as I said before, really appreciate you being on the show today. And one of the things that we like to do is obviously make sure that the community and the audience and the listeners that jump onto this episode can actually reach out and connect with
Yeah.
our guests. And mate, to put it out there and be very straightforward, what's the best way for people to connect with you, and what is the best way for them to reach you via the different channels?
Yeah, sure. So probably Instagram would probably be the best one, I think. It's just Michael Montgomery Tiling. Pretty simple.
Nice,
Yeah, and a
nice.
few posts on there and that sort of thing. But yeah, that'd be definitely the easiest way.
Yeah, fantastic. And obviously they could message you
Yeah,
through that platform. I think you and I
yep,
have had some pretty good comms through there, so it's been
yeah,
great.
yep. No, definitely. Yeah, no, that'd definitely be the easiest.
Awesome, mate. Well, look, we'll put that
Sweet
out.
as.
We'll put that into the show notes and
Yep.
make sure that's available for everybody. And mate, like I said, once again, just want to thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. I know you've had a long day on the tools, and it's always good to get some
It's all
time with
good.
people and share their journeys. And as we say it on every program, mate, or every episode. Until next time, stay connected, and mate, can't wait to get this out there to our audience.
No, perfect. Thanks you. Thanks for having me. Much appreciated.